So, with everybody pretty much talking about, in my opinion, the moment in 150, thanks to Cyberpunk Jordan's recent video, you know, you really have to wonder if, Ken Penders knew he was leaving the book, that he might as well go all out. What I mean is, pretty much and this is something that I learned by watching an interview between Stan Lee and Kevin Smith back in 2002, when they released the Stan Lee Marvels and Monsters DVD, which I think you can find that interview here on YouTube. And Stan basically said that, Amazing Fantasy was coming to an end, and which was an anthology book at the time. And that, since it was the last issue, they could pretty much write whatever they wanted to write, kind of get it, out of the system, as I check the mic there, see if it's on. But basically write whatever they want to get out of the system. And, of course, the end result was Our Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which is still going on to this day. But, the same could be said for writers. If they know their time on a book is coming to an end, are they basically willing to take the opportunity to write whatever they want to write or put in whatever they want to put in, even very subtly? And I think they are. I think they do take advantage of that opportunity. And when I look at what Ken Penders did here, he basically, well, as he's gone on record and everybody else has gone on record about it, he fixed a lot of what he thought Carl Bowlers had basically screwed up. When Carl was the head writer sharing duties with Ken, in writing the book, and I think Ken was off doing the Knuckles book, Carl decided to take things in a direction that obviously some of it Ken was cool with and some of it he wasn't. Like with, Antoine turning bad because, he got scarred up and his attitude changed in the year they thought Sonic was dead, and Ken didn't like that. He didn't like the idea that, Carl had done this and it caused in-story Bunnie to break up with Antoine, but, not be an item anymore. Ken didn't like this, so what did he do? Ken decided, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to retcon this, and instead of it being the actual Antoine that went through this, Ken made sure to retcon it before he left that it was actually evil Antoine. It was Patch from Moebius, who got sent there by evil Sonic because Patch wanted to basically get rid of him, finally usurp him, get him out of his hair and the anti-freedom fighters' hair once and for all, but it backfired. So, Ken corrected that, and a lot of people would agree that's probably one of the best decisions he made, in his final time on the book. But, with a few exceptions here and there, like, that revelation being made in Line of Succession and such, there were some things they weren't too thrilled with. And of course, one of them, as noted, was Bunnie and Sonic. Or Bunnie basically being, visualized, waking up from a nap, if you will, with who she thought was Sonic at that time, but it's actually evil Sonic, the one, as I've mentioned and others have mentioned, would go on to become known as Scourge. And, a lot of people, as I've mentioned countless times, and you could look it up online, a lot of people have said the same thing. Not a lot of people were thrilled with that, because it gave off the impression that she had basically done the deed, the dirty, if you will, with Scourge. And even Ken Penders kind of, in response to a fan, kind of leaned in that direction as well. But when I look at that moment too, and despite how you feel about it, how you feel it might have gone or what really happened, the change in dialogue and everything through the fonts and the speech bubbles, I think when I look at that, and I mentioned this in the last video, one, I think it was Ken Penders' way of making up for the fact that one of the ideas that he had drafted up, because from what his recollection, if you will, was Archie Comics at the time when he was still on the book, they wanted to go in a more mature direction with all the titles, including the licensed titles like Sonic. But then decided to halt on that for a while until the time was right, which obviously was I would say 4 years later, or not 4 years later, but almost a decade later. You know, they kind of halted on that, and still, you know, Ken, obviously knowing that his time was up with the book real soon, he only had a few stories left to go, decided, in my opinion, that, well, if he couldn't, you know, put the moment in there that he wanted between Jeffrey and Sally, where it's known to, well, he's basically come out to say it, you know, plain as day, that Jeffrey was going to be the one in story had had Archie as a company as a whole gone the direction that he said they wanted to go originally. Jeffrey would have been the one to take Sally's virginity, but because, you know, Archie Comics at the time backtracked and didn't do that, whatever he drafted up, he had to shelve. And like I said in the previous video, I think, you know, this moment here with Bunnie and Evil Sonic was his own unique little way of making up for that. Like, okay, if I couldn't do it that way, I'm going to do it this way, but I'm going to do it in a way that's, you know, subtly hints at something having happened between the two. So you have to, again, you got to look at that moment, and you got to say to yourself, or you could not say to yourself, but you got to ask yourself, you know, did Ken realize that, okay, his time on the book was coming to an end? You know, was this his way of just getting it out of his system? And I would say, yeah. I say, in my personal opinion, because I wasn't there, I'd say, yeah, he wanted to get it out of his system. You know, he wanted to, you know, finally, you know, get that moment that he wanted to do with Jeffrey and Sally out of his system, you know, in some capacity. And obviously when he saw the first draft or whatever it was that Carl had written up or typed up for this, or at least the idea perspective of it, he decided this would be the best option, and the rest is history. You know, but obviously he wanted to get it out of his system. He wanted to find a way to do it, and he knew if he didn't do it before he left the book, he may not get another chance on an official capacity. So, you know, here you go. Now, I'm not saying that's true or anything, but it does kind of fall in line with what I, with what I and everybody else heard Stan Lee say in that interview with Kevin Smith. That basically this was probably the end of the line for Ken as a writer, just like, you know, Amazing Fantasies last issue was the end of the line of that book, and, you know, they were allowed to put whatever they wanted, whatever stories they wanted to get out of the systems in that book, thinking it's not going to sell. And Ken, obviously, from a writer's perspective, knew, well, if I'm going to go out, I might as well, you know, put in a few of the things I wanted to put in, you know, in some capacity, you know, not totally in there, but in some way. And I think that's what he did here. I think that's what he did with Bunnie, with this moment between Bunnie and Evil Sonic. You know, he decided to get what he wanted to do with Sally and Jeffrey out of his system. But, you know, that's just my opinion. It's just my opinion, but I think that's what he wanted to do. I think honestly that's what he wanted to do. I think he realized, again, his time was up. He only had several more issues and stories to contribute. And he realized, well, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to do some of the things I've been wanting to do, even if I have to do it in a very subtle, clean, you know, family-friendly kind of way, as he probably thought at the time. And, you know, this moment here is one of those, I guess, examples of him finally getting something out of his system before he, you know, said sayonara to the book. So, but again, you know, that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. But let me know what you guys think. What are your thoughts down below? Comment if you like. Love to hear from each and every one of you. Live chat during the premiere where super chats and super stickers are open and would be appreciated. Also check me out at Venmo at Brian-Walmart-2 and at Cash App at BWS98. And check me out and also help donate to me at the Super Thanks after the video's premiere. But again, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this. Do you think Ken, knowing that his time on the book was coming to an end, that he decided to take the opportunity to do what a lot of writers do when it comes to the tenure ending, you know, with a comic book company, and, you know, as a writer, or the book's tenure coming to an end? Do you think he took the opportunity to just put that in there because he wanted to get out of his system? because he couldn't do it originally as he originally planned? What are your thoughts? Comment below, live chat during the premiere, and I'm out.